Hello everyone, welcome back to AZ Tech. My name is Haroon and I have two devices here for you, the Nexus 6P and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. So today I'll be doing a comparison of these two devices, these two great devices that I've been using for the past few days, this one for about a month or so. And I have to, say both really great devices, but really it's time to pick a winner from these two devices, and that's what we're going to do today. So first, let me just run down the specs for each device. The Nexus 6P it came out in November. It has a Snapdragon 810 octa-core processor, 3 gigs of RAM. It supports a fingerprint scanner on the back here. It comes in aluminum, a black color, I believe it's called graphite, and also in white and gold. Gold is only available in select countries. Um, so this device also comes in 32 gig, 64, and 128 gigabytes versions. So with that, let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S6 device here. This device here comes with Samsung's built-in Exynos processor. It's called the Exynos 7420. It's also an octa-core processor, but this one has 4 gigs of RAM, one extra gig of RAM than the Nexus 6P. Then we also have a fingerprint scanner on this device at the front, embedded in the home button. Also, this device came out in November as well, so not too long ago. Um, October, November. I think it was announced in August with the Note 5. So let me get the prices out of the way for these two devices. So the Nexus 6P is available for $499 for the 32 gig model. The Samsung is available for $750. In Canada, the Nexus 6P uh, will cost you $699 for the 32 gig model. It's $200 more than US. Um, Probably because of how the dollar value is in Canada versus the US. So that's something to keep in mind if you are a Canadian buyer. Now let's go into more detail about the specs. The Nexus here, as I mentioned, has a fingerprint scanner on the back. It has a 12.3 megapixel camera, has dual LED flashlight, also has laser autofocus. The sensors are in the back here. You can't see them on this camera, but on this video, but they are there. Um, and on the front here, we have an 8 megapixel camera. We have stereo speakers, a 5.7-inch Quad HD display. It's a Super AMOLED Quad HD display and has a Gorilla Glass 4 also. And the phone, it's all unibody metal design, really beautiful design. The volume rocker is on the right hand side, just below the power button here. On the top, we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. On the bottom, we have the new USB Type C charging port, and on the back, we also have a noise cancellation microphone here. So that's this. Now back to the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus device. The volume buttons are here on the top left side. The power button is on the right side. We have a similar to the Nexus, a 5.7-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display. They both have the same panels, except the exception of having a curved display on the Samsung device. So basically, both the displays are gorgeous, really beautiful devices in terms of display. As I mentioned earlier, fingerprint scanner has capacitive buttons as compared to on-screen buttons on the Nexus device here. On the top here, we have a SIM card, removable tray, a noise cancellation mic. On the bottom here, we have the speaker grill, the micro USB charging port, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and another mic here. Um, on the back, a 16 megapixel camera, an LED flashlight, and we also have sensors here to measure your heart rate or blood oxygen level as well. The front here has a 5 megapixel camera, um, and as opposed to the Nexus 6P, this one here has only one speaker, whereas this supports dual speakers. So that was just a quick rundown through the specs of these two devices. Let's talk about the experience with with these two devices. So the Nexus 6P obviously runs Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow, and that's the thing with Nexus. They always support the latest and greatest Android versions. So that's something to note. And the Samsung device has Android 5.1.1, I believe, with and a new version, the Marshmallow update to be coming soon as well in the future, hopefully by February, I believe. Apart from that, the Nexus is running stock Android, so it'll provide you with stock experience of the of Android, whereas the Samsung device has TouchWiz running on it. Samsung has really improved the TouchWiz experience on their Galaxy devices. No more heavy bloat or um, not too much of stuff going on this device. It's really nice and simple as compared to the Nexus devices here. So even comparing to the Nexus device, I actually like how it's displayed on the Samsung device here, and so that's something to note as well. Then the settings on these both devices are pretty similar, with the exception of Samsung providing some quick setting options here. You can have up to 9 customized uh, quick setting quick settings here, so you don't have to go through a huge list of settings here. Stock Android doesn't offer that, but on both devices there's a search option, so you can easily go and search for anything you would like to, and easily get into those settings. Um, I personally prefer the capacitive buttons on the Samsung device because it saves you this much space in any app. So I don't like how the device is taking so much space here just for the on-screen buttons. Although it doesn't matter, bother me too much. I've been used to this the on-screen button for a while now with the Nexus device, Nexus 5 device also that I had previously had, but I still prefer having something like this where you can have you can have the space here and basically have a better view of the device, of the screen, basically what's on the screen. So it saves you that much space. So, in terms of display quality, as I mentioned, they both have the same display. However, the screen on the Nexus 6P is slightly warmer as compared to the one here. Let's just go to the same website and let's see what I can if I can show you an example. So just being on this page here, you can see the whites on the Nexus 6P. They're not as white. They appear more yellowish, whereas on the Galaxy device, it's more white or more bluish, I should say. But I like how this device looks. The display on this device looks. But however, if you put this device aside and if you don't have any other device to compare, the screen on this phone is gorgeous, no issues at all. So you don't have to worry about the slight um, difference in display, but other than that, it actually, it's there. Also, because they are Super AMOLED displays, obviously they are saturated displays. The colors are very saturated, so you're going to see a lot of sharp colors on these devices as compared to say an IPS LCD display or other devices without a Super AMOLED display on them. So that's something to note. I personally prefer these colors. They look really nice. However, when you're taking pictures, they may come up oversaturated in some cases, when especially on the Nexus device. If there's too much yellow going on, it'll yellowfy them too much. The pictures would come too yellow. But that was just one or two odd situations. I've had really great experience with the camera. The camera on the Nexus P is really fantastic. I cannot tell you how good the camera on this device is. I absolutely love the camera on this device. However, I cannot say the same about the app. This is, Google's stock Android camera app. Supports photosphere, panorama, lens blur, and in the settings you can choose the resolution for the front and back camera. And the back camera records 4K video as well. um, and it has EIS, so it does have video stabilization. It's software built. It doesn't have OIS like the Samsung device here. So, but that's all the options there are. There's also burst settings. So if you hold your camera, it'll take multiple pictures. And so that's a good thing there. The HDR mode on this device really takes really great pictures. I just cannot tell you guys how good the pictures on this phone are. I've had really great experience. But again, the app is where I am really stuck at. If I take three pictures from HDR, this is what happens. So one, then we have two, then we have three, and then that's it. I can't take any more pictures. It's grayed out, and that's because it's processing HDR in the background, and that just doesn't make sense to me at all. I think this is really stupid from on Google's part, where they don't allow taking multiple pictures, more than three pictures from using the HDR mode. There's no issues when I'm using the non HDR mode, but it happens with HDR mode, and it has a Snapdragon 810 processor. Come on, Google. You should have done a better job at this. And I know it's made by Huawei, and but Google had a hand in Nexus devices. They should have done this properly. Anyway, back to the camera. We have the a video recorder here. It supports slow motion, but just so you know, it degrades the quality of the video when you have slow motion on. So just keep that in mind. Other than that, it's a really great performing camera. Selfie mode on this camera, amazing pictures. You can really tell the difference between HDR and regular non-HDR pictures with the selfie mode. Takes really great pictures. No issues there at all. Now, let's put this on the side and talk about the Samsung device's camera. So, um, uh, as the Samsung's camera, we all know they make great cameras. Double tap to open the camera app. You can also just go through the app. Also, I should mention that Nexus also supports this. You can double tap the power button to open the camera as well. I personally don't like it. The buttons here are too soft to press, and sometimes you just don't feel that you don't get that feeling that you've pressed them properly, and camera doesn't always open as expected. So the camera app on this device, really amazing camera app. I've had no issues at all. There's a lot of different options here that you can go through. It also takes up to 4K recording. Has built-in video stabilization OIS, as I mentioned, and also um, no issues with HDR on. So I can take as many pictures as I want with this device when the HDR mode is on, and it won't stop. And it actually takes pictures slightly faster than the Nexus device with HDR mode on. So I've just taken a lot of pictures here and no issues at all. And I'm sure Nexus could have figured that out as well, but they didn't. This is the regular mode. It takes pictures slightly faster but slows down after a while. Anyway, then we have the an interesting thing to mention is that with 16 megapixel camera, it takes 16 by 9 ratio pictures. So the pictures are really wide in that sense. The Nexus takes pictures in 4 by 3 um, setting. So you're basically losing all this space on this side of the device. However, you can switch to um, lower megapixel. So, for example, if you go back to 8 megapixel, 8.3 megapixel, it'll allow you to take um, wider pictures. So now you have all this space here. So that's something for you guys to know as well. It does support that, but it reduces the megapixel of what you can do with the device. But again, picture quality on this phone is great, so no issues there at all. The video mode on this device is better than the Nexus. This device takes better pictures. Well, not better pictures. They both have really great pictures. The thing with the Samsung device is you cannot tell the difference between an HDR picture and a non-HDR picture. They are really similar to each other, and so I felt no benefit of using the HDR mode on this device. However, the video quality of this device is actually really good. As compared to the Nexus, Nexus does not take good video. Even the mic, the sound from the Nexus device when you're taking a video, it's not as clear or crisp as on the Samsung device. That's something to note. If you make a lot of videos, um, this it'll do a good job. It'll do a decent job, but it's not as good as this device. In terms of picture quality, I think the Nexus does a better job, and in terms of video, it definitely goes to Samsung. Okay, so now that the camera is out of the way, let's talk about the battery life. Um, right off the bat, I think the Nexus device has slightly more battery. I think it's a 3450 milliamp battery. If that's incorrect, I'll have a caption here to correct that. No worries. And I believe this one has 3000, but I will double check that for you guys. So the battery life on the Nexus device lasts me about all day, even sometimes more than a day, and it gives me about four to 4.5 hours of screen on time. I think that's pretty good for a battery for a phone with this size and this processor. I think it's a pretty good battery life. The Samsung device here has slightly better battery life than the Nexus device here. It will last you at least 5 hours of screen on time, no issues, and can even go above that sometimes. They both have the power saving mode options in their devices, but Samsung has better options for that. So let me go into battery here. In this, we have the battery saver option, and you can just turn it on, and that's it. It'll just turn the battery on. But apart from this feature here in the Samsung device, you also have an ultra saving mode, and basically what that does is it basically turns off all the colors on your device. It gives you access to 6 main apps that you may use regularly, and turns off all networks, all everything in the background. If you turn your phone on, it'll turn them on, but other than that, it keeps them off, and the battery life will go for a really long time when you have that mode on. So I think they really, if you really want to save battery and you're down to 5%, it'll last you for another hour or so just by having that ultra saving mode on the device. That's a pretty cool feature on Samsung's part. But again, both devices have really good battery life, no issues there. You won't have a problem. The only thing is because the Nexus 6P has USB Type-C charging. You will have to have your charger on you at all times, or if you plan to, travel, or if you are outside and you're not going to be home in within a day or so, and you need to charge your phone, for example. There's not a lot of devices out there that use the USB Type-C charging port, and so you'll be stuck with not having a charger if you don't have your own on you. Also on the Samsung device, um, it's just a regular micro USB port, so no issues with that. The charging time on both devices really very similar. I think they both take about an hour and a half to charge. Samsung, I believe, charges maybe 5 minutes faster than this, but again, not a big difference. They both you can charge them for 15 minutes and will go on for another couple of hours for you, so no issues at all with the battery life. Next, let me talk about the fingerprint scanner on these devices. So, um, I like the placement of the fingerprint scanner on the Samsung device, but there's no issues with having a fingerprint scanner on the back. The only thing is because this one doesn't support double tap to turn on the device, you have to basically pick it up, reach to the bag and then press, hold the fingerprint sensor to unlock the device. It's kind of it's not a big issue, but it's just there. But again, if you're picking up your device, I think this is the best way to unlock your device. It's just easier. You don't have to go press the button or anything. This is the thing. So they do have a fingerprint sensor on the front, but in order to use that, you can't just tap on it and then it'll turn on. You have to basically hold it. So you have to really tap in on the button and then hold it for maybe a second or so, and then it'll unlock the device. However, on this device, your screen can be off. You all you have to do is hold the sensor, and it'll unlock the device and turn the display on. That's an amazing feature, actually. So I preferred the fingerprint sensor on the Nexus device, but I wish, it also had double tap to unlock or open the device, especially when I'm at home and I have trusted places on, and I don't have to, have the device locked when I'm at home. I want to be able to open, have the display on without pressing the power button. Next thing, so they're both equally good. If I were to choose the finger sensor between the two, I would go with the Nexus just because of the functionality. It's really quick, and it turns the display on automatically. So I think I prefer this one, except the placement, but that's not a big issue at all. Next, let's talk about the speakers. So as I mentioned, the Nexus has stereo speakers, whereas the Samsung device has one speaker on the bottom here. However, they are almost equally loud. No issues in terms of sound quality. They both have excellent sound quality. Obviously, I prefer the stereo speakers here because when you're gaming or watching a video, you can hear the sound from both sides, and it's really really nice to hear that. However, with the Samsung's placement of the speaker, it's an issue because it gets easily covered with your hand, and especially when you're gaming or watching a video. So something to note. So that's this round definitely goes to the next as well. Next, in terms of performance, as I mentioned, they both have high-end processors, even though this device has more RAM, one full gigabytes of RAM and extra than more than the Nexus. This one has four, this one has three. It's still there's no issues in terms of performance, except Samsung has a really hard time in keeping apps in memory. If you've gone through maybe 5 or 6 apps and you go back to the first app again, it'll reload the app, and it's really annoying. I mean, I don't expect that from a device that's a high end, so expensive, and it has 4 gigs of RAM. That's just not acceptable. So I'm pretty sure it's not the hardware. It's probably the way the Samsung has optimized their software. So they need to fix that hopefully in the next build or so. The call quality on these devices, there's a clear winner here, and it's not the Nexus, it's the Samsung here. The Nexus 6P device has really poor, it's not even good, it's poor call quality, especially when the speaker is on. It has this noise canceling mic here, but if your speaker is on, there's too much noise, too much, it's the voice is not clear. It's really hard. You have to hold the phone really close to you to be able to for the other person to hear your voice properly. So that's an issue here. The output from the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack is lower than what we have on Samsung. Personally, it doesn't matter to me. I don't use the headphone jack too much, but even when I do, I don't listen to loud music, so it's not an issue. It's loud enough for me, so and I'm happy with that. But people who go crazy with their earphones, they might prefer the Samsung device. Um, and so we've talked about everything. One more thing that I need to talk about is the design and the build quality of these two devices. So as I mentioned, we have an all metal design here, and we have a metallic body here with back glass. I personally prefer. Oh boy, this is so hard. So the reason why this is hard is because they're both really beautiful devices. Um, the back of this device is gorgeous. I just love how this device looks. Huawei just came out with this really unique, nice design. There's not a, this is a very fresh design, I should say. They've really improved the design on this device. This black bar here looks really nice. I actually really like this device. It's really solid, feels really great in the hand. And but when it comes to Samsung, I'm looking at this dual edge display curved on both sides. I just can't decide between the two. This is just too beautiful. The back, I don't like the back. I just, it's a fingerprint magnet. It's flat, looks weird. This hump looks weird. Um, but the front is just gorgeous. Um, and so, if I were to choose between these two in terms of design, I would go with actually the Samsung, just because no one uses their phone like this, I guess. I love staring at this phone, looking at this display. Yes, there are some issues. The edge honestly doesn't work for me exactly. It's very hard to touch on the exact point to turn the edge on. Also, there's if you can probably notice, because of the edge display here, there's some reflection on the side, and it will bother you when you're reading something. So that's something to note. But the design, in terms of design, just design, not usability, this phone definitely takes it. And definitely, if it came down to usage, I would definitely go with the Nexus. And as you will see in the speed test between these two devices and also the LG G4, um, you'll see that in terms of performance. I'm not going to give it to you right now, but in terms of performance, there's going to be one device that's going to come up on top, and not by a huge margin, but if it's a pretty big deal to you, it's going to be very obvious to see which one's the winner there. So that's it for the review of these two devices. Um, Obviously, we have to declare a winner here. It's a tough choice just because they're both really great devices, and it all depends on your needs. If you're looking for a great camera, they're both really good devices. For video recording, definitely the Samsung device. For fingerprint sensor, it's going to be the Nexus. For display quality, they're both equally great. Um, and Speakers, the Nexus. And then again, build quality and design, that's personal preference. So I'll leave it to you guys. And then obviously it also comes down to the price, right? In US, as I mentioned, this device is available for about 750, if I'm correct, and the Nexus is available for 499. That's a huge difference in price. There's no way I would pay $250 more for this device just because it has a slightly better video recording experience. Even the design, I mean, yes, it's a great design, but this doesn't lack any beauty as well. It's a really well built phone as well. So when it comes to value for the money, it's definitely going to the Nexus. There's no question about that. But for buyers who are outside of US, it's a tough decision, especially in Canada, where you're paying $699 for this device and maybe $50 more for this. I would definitely go for the Samsung. Um, I don't think the Nexus is worth $700 plus taxes, comes up to almost $800. I just don't think it's worth that much. Yes, it's a great device, beautiful, it has a great camera. It's not worth $800. And Samsung, even Samsung, I don't think any device is worth $800. But then again, that's the price for high-end smartphones out there. So if these were priced similarly, I would definitely go with the Samsung here. I think that's the better device of the two. With that, I conclude my review. I know I haven't declared one winner from these two, and that's only because, as I mentioned, it depends on your priorities, your needs, what you're looking for in a device, and so based on that. It's not that hard to choose a winner. You cannot go wrong with either one of these devices. I would personally pick in Canada. I would personally pick the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. But if I was in US, where this device was 499 for me, I would have definitely gone for this. So with that in mind, that's all for the review of these two devices, a comparison. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video. I really appreciate all your comments and feedback that you provide on the videos. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. I'll be more than happy to answer them. As always, I'll be bringing you more videos. Please stay tuned for my comparison videos that are coming up very soon, and some other videos that I'll be posting in the future. And that's it for now. Take care. Bye bye.